A guy is born in Pakistan. It's a random act of nature. That kid didn't had a choice. It's not his fault. He didn't choose whether to be born in Pakistan, USA or India. He was born there. Now, social conditioning trains him, brainwashes him to believe that he is under threat from a neighboring country. Then his father, being an army guy, tells him that he should join an army, and he eventually becomes a soldier in Pakistan. Now, a job of a soldier is to kill an opponent. He is doing it for what sake?
Duty.
Maybe. Beyond that.
Love and patriotism towards his.
Beyond that. If you go beyond love and patriotism and all the superficial surface level emotions, it is survival instinct. It is a threat that is trying to eliminate. A threat that this opponent is going to be set out to ruin my life or destroy my life or eradicate my existence. I need to fight back. Now that survival instinct is the same in a soldier of Pakistan and a soldier of India. It is human nature, right? Survival instinct. For that matter, it is the nature of any living being. You plant a seed and you put up a wall on one side of the garden. The plant will automatically bend to get the sunlight. So if the plant has that intelligence to do what is necessary to survive, humans definitely have. And if a human is doing something to just survive, how can that human be judged?
But why doesn't anybody then just like we spoke about story and idea, and then you started talking about a person born in Pakistan. And if this idea is floated amongst 5 people, and like even I answered when you asked me the question, I said love, duty, patriotism. Somebody else might come up with something else, but hardly anybody will come out with this basic survival instinct. So if we see so many movies made on India, Pakistan, so many, border for instance, everybody just dwells into patriotism. So now very interesting for me is that this is an idea of a soldier and somebody has made it into patriotism and the movies become hit. How would anybody make something as touching with the survival instinct?
See, first of all, we need to understand those things. Let's define patriotism. Patriotism is that I need to protect my country, right? The idea of protection is what? Because it is under threat. If the country is destroyed, I will be destroyed. It is individual.
But see, that is put as it is your duty. And even when the soldiers speak,
No,
inherently they will say it's my duty. Nobody will speak of survival instinct. But ये total logic है मेरे लिए कि अगर मैंने गोली नहीं चलाई तो मैं मर जाऊंगा. ये survival instinct है. But as a human being इतना bombard किया है कि patriotism है, मातृभूमि के
I'll tell you
लिए
why.
जान दे दो.
I'll tell you why. As a nation, you are asking someone to put down their life, which is again goes against the survival instinct, right? So you need to build a narrative that there is a concept of nation and that nation needs to be protected, and you are the son of a nation. It is your duty to protect. I believe, without any meaning any disrespect, all soldiers are brainwashed. They are not conscious beings. A conscious being would not entertain the idea of nation. It is a piece of land. He was born outside that. He was never trapped inside it. A soldier traps himself within the boundaries of his nation. He is a brainwashed individual. There is no difference in a soldier and a terrorist. They are both brainwashed. But why do we as humans do it? Let's analyze love. How do we realize that we love a person? The first, we may say that it's a physical attraction. Fine. Beyond that, when we go beyond that, this idea of another human being instilling some good moments in our hearts, right? I'm stripping it down to the very base level. You'll feel good when you are in a company of a certain individual. And when you get away from this individual, what is our intrinsic desire? To always feel good, be at peace, be in joy. Human nature has only two dominant emotions. One, it goes towards pleasure, it goes away from pain. The pain and the pleasure are the only two emotions that we understand at a very core level. Now, when I have separated from this individual, I'm with some other set of people or maybe alone in my room, my heart, my mind is asking for that joyous moment to repeat itself. Because I want more of what is good, what is pleasure, less of pain. And that thought, I convert it into, oh, I'm missing this person. Oh, if I'm missing this person, I must be in love with this person. So our idea of love also is very selfish. And selfish is a wrong word to it. We are just basically individuals trying to survive. Now, to survive, we need to be in a comfort zone, in a place of contentment. And that if it comes from love, we embrace love. If it comes from patriotism, we embrace patriotism. If it comes from anger, hatred towards someone, we embrace that.
So my next question would be, because we are talking about soldiers and then I spoke about border, so it's an idea. And then of course border became a hit. But if we go to this core question, what you said, or the core is the survival instinct. Can one write a story of all the characters in border? How many? There were like 4 or 5 characters in border. And everybody was driven by patriotism first. Second, they wanted to go back because they loved someone behind, a wife, a girlfriend, parents. So there we spoke, or JP Datta spoke about patriotism and love. But can one make a story of all these 5 characters, which is survival instinct, and it still be a hit? Hit in the sense, it's not a hit, it is a hit because it struck chord with a person.
Okay. There's a movie by Will Smith, Independence Day. And there's another movie called 2012, based on that Mayan prediction. What it depicts is that when there is a threat bigger than the planet itself, then the trivial battles and wars between the nations is irrelevant. People join forces. And because at that point of time, it is their survival instinct as humanity against an alien species or something. Which is why, if you look at space, why all these people who are inching towards each other's property or land like China is doing towards India, or India probably, has done to someone. Pakistan is doing, and probably US has done to other nations. We are trying to accumulate land, right? End of the day. Why, despite all that greed and obsession with the land and property and wealth and everything, in space we don't follow that protocol? Why? A Chinese spaceman is allowed to come into a US spaceship because there the threat is bigger than nation. The space is considered as a no man's land, in a way that there is no politics, no nation. Even an Indian guy can be rescued by a US guy, because there anything can go wrong. We are in an unknown, and we want each other's company, because again, survival instinct.
So, don't you think that the world needs new writers, new films? Because, like, we see what's happening, it is that a filmmaker will say, my film is inspired from real incidences or real thoughts, while a person who watches it will try to depict what is happening in a film. That's why everybody wants love like Shah Rukh Khan, like Salman Khan. But if a new crop of writers come who instill this, that the core is survival instinct, and if everybody has to survive, because like you just said, in space there is no country boundary. I mean, even Chinese will rescue an Indian and an Indian will rescue a Chinese. If so much literature that is being written on love, and then from love crops selfishness, from conflict which comes because girl meets boy, girl is poor, then otherwise there are disparity in their religion, then parents come in conflict, don't fight, don't get married to this girl, separate. But if this whole thing of survival instinct, the way you said it, and say 100 writers write about this, will it change the perspective of the future generation to come?
See, first of all, for a writer to change or bring about revolution, he should be revolutionary himself. Today, the writer wants to just survive, and for that, he wants to earn.
So aren't you contradicting yourself?
No.
Survival instinct and
No, it is the writer's survival instinct that he just wants to survive in today's business world and the corporate world and the marketplace, that he's churning out something that everybody else is asking for. I'll come to the point. The other day, I wrote a story, and someone asked me, one of the producer asked me if you have a thriller story, and I narrated the story over a phone. And I gave him the entire story, and then he said, "Is there a reference?" Personally, I felt offended, but I said, "No, sir, I just thought of it." And he couldn't get it, because for him to understand the story, he needs to first accept the fact that it has a future, it can be made. If someone else has made it, then he would take the story seriously. So if that is the marketplace, those are the buyers, the economy says that the writers will supply. It's not that the writers cannot write, but for the writers to write, shouldn't the readers create a marketplace?
no, see, what I would say is, because, and I don't mean to demean Shakespeare, but because Shakespeare wrote a Romeo Juliet, and then somebody in the Urdu language wrote Shri Farad, similarly, Nala Damayanti in the Marathi culture, everybody wants to be Romeo Juliet, everybody wants to be Shiri Farad, and so on and so forth. In the end, everybody dies, as in love is not met, it's a tragedy and it became a hit. So everybody wants to go that way. So what I'm trying to say is, and yes, because there was Romeo Juliet and Shakespeare and only that was being printed, everybody was reading it, and then it became a play, and then it became a movie, and now Romeo Must Die with Leonardo, another take on Romeo Juliet. What I'm trying to say is not just per se writers and their survival instinct. I'm saying if we generate, or the new generation, comes with a new thought of a different thing than what is happening from 100 years, will it change the world? Will it change the future generation?
See, here's the thing. It's not that the writers have never tried this. And that's why you have Salman Rushdie being exiled. You have books being burnt. Why would a writer do it? There has to be an audience, right? If the audience is not ready, and okay. And this is my favorite example, but I'll tell you. A math teacher in 5th grade, or let's say 3rd grade, already understands multiplications, right? Divisions, derivations, and all the algorithms. Yet, she will start with, for a 3rd grader, additions and subtractions. Why is that teacher choosing not to teach multiplication and division?
I would say that, again, she is just following the system, and the system says. So, coming back to this thing, like you said, Salman Rushdie was exiled, books were burnt, but it's because of the system that books were burnt and there was negative propaganda, because they don't want to change the mentality of the people. That's why we are
What
slaves.
is the definition of system? System is handful of people in power and a whole population being docile and dormant. That is the definition of system, right? What happens if an entire population wakes up?
That's what I'm trying to say. So, like, the freedom British came and ruled India, there were a handful of people whom we call freedom fighters who fought, and that's why we are free. So, yes, the British came and made an entire generation docile and dormant, but there were a handful who said no, and though because of those handful, we are free today. So I'm saying in today's system, we are slaves to the people who are in power. So can it be possible by revolutionary writers? I mean, we call the freedom fighters revolutionaries, right?
See, no, I could be biased, but I believe every revolution was uh, instigated by a writer. Even the revolutionary writers were inspired and motivated because they read something that was written by someone else. So every revolution in the world has been brought about by writers. This is, and I'm happy to have this delusion, but I have my basis on it. From Voltaire to Aristotle to everybody, Socrates. People may put different tags upon them, philosophers and all that, but they were basically writers who, with their words, changed the thought process of a population, of the masses. Now, new writers, coming to your question, can definitely do that. For that, what they need to do? Stop getting in their own way. Because how do they get in their own way is that, first, who will buy it? Will it sell? And will I make money? These are what? Again, boils down to survival instinct. But in today's time and era, where self-publishing has become such a big hit and all that, and you can, every person, every Tom, Dick and Harry has a camera. You can go out and make a film, and you can write your own book and get self-published. So the avenues are not blocking. What is blocking is the writer who believes that it won't help him. So, coming back to my point, is that for a writer to revolutionize the world, he has to revolutionize himself, to believe that what he is is a spark that can set the world on fire with his words. Now he has to make that choice, that should the spark be just let to die, or should he fuel a revolution?
So, can we, with Story Tattva, do this?
I think I'm crazy in my head, so I am attempting in my own way to uh, write stories which could make people think. Now, Rakosh was kind of a story which nobody wanted to make in the beginning, because even after it was made, one crazy guy saw some potential in it and invested. Okay, but a lot of people couldn't understand Rakosh, and even yesterday, I guess a couple of weeks back, some guy on Instagram said that I should be killed to because I made that kind of film. Okay, because I wasted his time and money. Again, for me, a lot of people didn't understand. Stripped when I was pitching it, a lot of people didn't want it to do it. But the fact that it has become a thesis subject in Princeton University says that there was some sense in it. So, my point is that I like to create thinkers. In That is my endeavor in Story Tattva, because if you are capable of thinking, you can write. That is my understanding. See, I want an era. Actually, I would have wanted to be born in an era of Socrates, Aristotle, and all that, Immanuel Kant, Bertrand Russell. But I am born in an era where the best form of writing comes in a social media post. You know, so I would want, if I couldn't time travel, at least have a bear witness to a generation who can write words that can instigate a human being, to be something more than what he was born as. Now, if that happens, I think Story Tattva has met its purpose.